Hi guys, in this tutorial we are talking about triggers, and they come in different shapes and sizes. The usual term is trigger volumes because it could be a box, it could be a sphere, or any other 3D shape. But we're going to use a trigger box to do what we did last time. So last time we obtained all the actors of a specific type, such as these platforms, and we deleted them. So now, instead of doing that, we're going to create a trigger which allows us to check whether the player is overlapping that trigger, and when the player is overlapping, then we're going to call one of these functions. So first we need a new blueprint. Right click on the content browser, blueprint class, actor, let's call it trigger. Press enter or double click, which opens the editor, and then we're going to add a box collision, which is like an invisible box which allows us to check for collisions. I'm going to move it up slightly. I think it's big enough for us to check the collision against the player. The component itself is called box. Maybe rename it to trigger box. And in the event graph, we can then use something like event actor begin overlap. So we don't need event tick and we don't need begin play. So compile, save, and what we're going to do is drag these Control X and Control V into this blueprint and just connect the event to this. Let's try and compile save on both blueprints, and then we need to position our trigger. So let's place it here somewhere closer to this wall over here. So triggers are super useful, and they allow the game to know that the player is somewhere. So let's try this. If I collide with this, we just deleted that thing. If I uncollide and then recollide, we delete this thing. If I do this again, well, nothing happens because we don't have any more platforms. So using triggers, the game can know that the player has just entered a room sorry, with NPCs, for example, and the NPCs can react to that. You can create an event such that the player has entered a room with the final boss, for example. Then the doors close and you get the final boss fight thing. And what can we do now? So we've done that. Is there any other thing that we can do with triggers? Let's do another one just to recap. So let's create a blueprint class of actor. Let's call it debug trigger. Double click, add component, box collision, call it trigger box. Raise it a bit so it doesn't go through the ground, and go to the event graph, get rid of event tick and play. And then when the actor begin overlap thing happens, do something like print string. And the thing that we're going to print is debug trigger overlap. Compile, save, drag debug trigger over here, raise it a bit. Yeah, it's fine. Great thing about triggers is they're not visible, so it doesn't really matter how they look. Somewhere here I can see my debug trigger overlap text in the top left corner. And that's super simple way to know where the player is at any moment in time by just creating these triggers and calling various events when they do overlap. And in the future video, we're going to use a lot of the things that we looked at and combine them into one slightly more complex tutorial. See you then. Thanks for watching.